The Shadow System CR920XP. Let's check it out. Shadow Systems out of Plano, Texas, making polymer striker fire pistols that are based on the Glock design, which is a proven design, one that I call the AK-47 of the handgun world. But one of the things about the Glock is a lot of people take them and they just completely upgrade them. And it's one of the things that Shadow Systems does at the factory, right out of the box. You have a Glock style pistol that has all the bells and whistles, and yet has even more upgrades over your standard Glock. This is the CR920XP. It is ported. About the same size as your Glock 19 as far as silhouette, but it's that thin G48 width to it, the slimline. And yet it still has 15+1 in the magazine. And these are made by Shadow Systems, and they have an increased spring strength, which makes this very reliable. Very soft to shoot, great concealed carry option, and we're going to take a look at the pros, the cons, and the reasons why you might want a Shadow Systems CR920XP for your concealed carry. And a big thank you to Shadow Systems for sending the CR920XP for this review. The Glock, one of the first polymer frame striker fire pistols that really hit the market and changed the market of firearms. Today there are a number of different guns that are the striker fire polymer frames, but Glock really was pretty much the pioneer. HK had come out with one earlier, but the Glock is the one that really got the ball rolling. One of the big things about the Glock is a very simple system, and that's probably the really key to this handgun. It's very reliable. In fact, I call it the AK-47 of the handgun world. Is it the most ergonomic? No. Is it the most accurate? It's accurate, but it's not like a tack driver. It's just a Glock and it works, and you pick it up and it goes. Over the years, the Glock form has remained pretty close to the same. A lot of internal changes. There's been a lot of upgrades, but overall, a Glock is a Glock. So while a lot of companies have offered Glock clones based on the Glock design, one of the best to me is Shadow Systems, and they take that Glock style, the design, the simplicity, and then they do upgrades. And not just cosmetic upgrades. There's a lot of internal upgrades that Shadow Systems makes. Now, one thing about it, they're compatible with all your Glock parts, but they do offer upgraded parts that'll fit your Glock. We're going to look today at the CR920XP. The C stands for the compact size, and this is the slimline, just like your G48 or your G43X. So it's a very concealable handgun. The X stands for the longer grip. And the P stands for ported, and this has a compensator, not necessarily a ported barrel, but we're going to look at the details in a minute. Now let's go ahead and drop our 15+1 magazine. These are Shadow Systems design mags. It has a nickel finish on it to make it really slick, and it has stronger springs in it to make it more reliable. And then take a look at the chamber, and it's empty. And these run under 30 bucks, so not a bad price. First off is that the CR920XP is one of the flattest shooting guns, and one of the reasons is because of this port system. It's a patented comp, and it's a toolless design. You can remove this. You have to break down the handgun first. This is easily removed, and it's a lug adapting system, so it's not a threaded barrel, which keeps it from, unthreading, but even more importantly, states that have restrictions on threading, you can possibly have a compensator on the end of your handgun. And this has been upgraded over even the CR920X, which we just did a review on. But the slide is a black nitride finish. It has really very nice cocking serrations, both front and rear. We have steps at the top, and this adds for serrations as well for press checks. The black nitride finish looks really nice on it, and then we have ports or windows on either side of the slide. This is the black barrel version, which we have one of the CR920X here with that bronze or gold barrel. And so it's just a nice look. This is the Elite Series, which means it's their top of the line or top tier. It does have higher sights. They're not quite, I would say, suppressor height, but they're high enough that when you mount the optic, and this is red dot ready, this will take any of your Holosun 407K, 507K, it'll take the Shield RMSC, and it will also take your Swamp Fox mount. This gives you a lot of options just in itself, and you can fit it directly to the slide. I like that. And so you're going to have 1/3 co-witness. The rear sight is a black serrated sight, and then the front sight is a tritium with a green fluorescent circle around it. So it makes it really easy to pick up during the day, and then night sights at night. But a lot of times guys will get their standard Glock and they'll start doing all these different fancy slide cuts. And here you're getting it straight out of the box. Also with the frame. Has really aggressive stippling all the way around the panels, the back strap, and the front strap. So it gives you a full grip on the handgun. With this longer grip, it gives you, again, it just feels your hand. Here we have some memory pads, and this will give you a thumb ledge for recoil management, or if you've been shooting, you can put your hand here and it just gives you a memory pad to keep your finger out of the trigger. Trigger guard, undercut, and then double undercut. Here on the Glock, typically there's a little bit of a nub that sticks out and it's just been trimmed back. So it gives you a very high ride on the handgun, and you have a low bore axis, and we have an extended frame right here as a beaver tail, which just spreads out the surface area on the web of your hand. Makes it really easy to shoot. Of course, you have your standard magazine release, and that is switchable to the other side. We have our slide stop, and of course we have our standard takedown levers, and it is the 2-pin system, which is typical for Gen 5. 1 slot Picatinny rail, and then you have your serial number plate here on the bottom. But honestly, a very beautiful gun. And while it does have Glock lines, it definitely goes above. We just did a review on the CR920X, and the X again stands for that longer grip. Your standard CR920 just has that shorter grip like a G43. And so it has that short 10-round grip. But this one does have the compensator as well. And this has the magazine extension to 13 rounds. But one of the things that really we wanted to test out was the compensator. Wanted to see how effective it is. And of course, these two handguns are the same except for the extension of the compensator. And so we wanted to shoot those side by side. And there is definitely a really significant difference between the two. One thing you'll notice, especially when shooting it with a comp, is that it keeps a very flat muzzle. There's not a lot of muzzle flip, there's not any muzzle rise, it just shoots really level. But also, it takes some of the sting out of your hand. I noticed that when I was shooting the CR920X, that it had a little bit more energy coming back into my hand, and not only that, but a little bit more of the muzzle flip, which is probably going to contribute to that as well. But really the slide mass is the same coming back because the slides, honestly, are pretty much the same length. It's just that the compensator extends it on out. So while this makes it a size of the G43X, this gives you the same silhouette as your G48. Now this will fit some Glock Model 48 holsters, but because it's a little different, there's a number of holsters it won't fit. So you need to test that out if you already have G48 holsters. And the CR is their compact size. Their MR size is their standard size, very similar to the Glock 19 or the Glock 17. And then we have their DR size, which is their extended long slides. And a lot of their pistols come in with their Foundation series, which is just the basic handgun. They don't have a lot of the upgrades that the Elite or the Combat have. These are Elite pistols. Now it's optics ready, and it's what they call their multi-optic footprint. Now we have the plate removed, and this will fit your Holosun 407K, 507Ks, your smaller micro red dots, also the Shield RMSC and the Swamp Fox Sentinel. And so you can direct mount that. Now there is a spacer included, especially for the Holosun models. They're a little short, so you can place it up to the front, and now you're secure. So this gives you a number of different options with this red dot footprint. Barrel's 3.5 inches in length. It comes right here to the end of your slide, and then of course you have your comp. This is a removable comp. It's really easy to remove, and again it has those locking lugs, so it's very secure. This is an updated comp system though for the release. I'll show you that when we break it down. And you can see the levers right here. But the comp is extremely effective. Here you see your front port, but this also has a cavity at the bottom that kind of comes down and allows for those trapped gases, and that is going to really help a lot. But again, one of the things about this is the recoil is reduced quite a bit, and that has everything to do with this comp. Also, we have a nice undercut, in fact a double undercut, so even here at the trigger guard gives you just that area to be able to get that natural point of aim. And this gets your hand closer up to the slide. And as you can see, we have a slight little beaver tail right here, and that's going to just keep from slide bite, and it's going to actually take some of the surface area against the web of your hand and give you a really nice grip. As far as the trigger goes, we have our blade type safety, so unless it's depressed, you're not going to be able to fire the handgun. Put a full pad on it and it alleviates that little block. And so here we have take up, it comes to a wall, and then we have a fairly mushy break. Maybe a little better than your Glock, but not a whole lot. And then we're going to reset right there. The trigger can be upgraded to any of your Glock aftermarket triggers, flat face triggers, but Shadow Systems also offers their own proprietary upgraded trigger. Now we'll check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds, 15.3 ounces. 4 pounds. So around the 4 pound range, which is not bad. Weight on the CR920XP, 21.1 ounces. When we first got the CRX920P out, we did have some reliability issues. The recoil system just needed to have a few rounds put through it. In fact, I added some higher velocity ammunition and it started functioning. And then we'll show you the following up range day where it was flawless. So I just think that if you're having some issues, and I've heard a couple of other people have had issues initially, is it needs a little bit of a break-in period. One of the things that Shadow Systems says is you need a 200 round break-in period. I would recommend that, at least that, for any gun that you're planning to carry. This is the first one that I've had any issues with. All the other Shadow Systems pistols that we've reviewed have been excellent reliability. Big thank you to Fiocchi for supplying our ammo, all made in the USA, one of the biggest suppliers of ammunition in the country. And also, we really want to thank our friends over at Lula Loaders for the Mag Lula. These things are great. Guys, Shadow Systems out of Plano, Texas, they've taken the Glock platform and they've really transformed it. One of the things is they have the full 15 round capacity magazines for that more compact size Glock, like the Glock 48 or the Glock 43X. And these magazines are excellent. They have a little bit of heavier spring in them, formulated by Shadow Systems. The compensator is actually like a tri-lug where it fits, it's not threaded, and it's very effective. We're going to compare it to the standard CR920X with the CR920XP side by side. A lot of stippling on the grip, and the slide cuts are beautiful. I mean, that comp just keeps that sight just in a down position. And with the original CR920X, which just means that X grip, the longer grip, but the shorter slide, non-compensated. I'll say that the muzzle rise is not really much difference, but it's definitely different in your hand. The P model shoots a heck of a lot more soft in your hand. Those gas pressures are down. But with the XP, 15 plus 1, it shoots just like a laser beam. I mean, it just stays right on target. The sight never goes out of your vision. It just stays right there. It just barely bobbles. With the X, more rapid fire. You don't quite have the control you have with the P model, but still tracks pretty well. But you can definitely feel a big difference in your hand between the two. Great handgun. But if you want that really softer shooting feel to it, I mean, the XP is going to be what you're wanting. Now for disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, point the gun in a safe direction, pull the trigger, pull back on your slide, and pull down your takedown tabs, just like your Glock pistol. Then we take our recoil spring and guide rod, and then you move your barrel forward. Now this system is a toolless disassembly. The original model had a little detent that you depressed with a tool right inside, and you just pushed it down, and then you could turn it. With this, you can actually turn this with your thumb. The biggest thing is, there it goes. Sometimes it's a little bit tough, but guys, how easy is that? And then just take and you can pull it off the lugs. You can see the different lugs, and this just locks into those lugs. Now, one of the reasons why it works this way, and it doesn't come loose when you're shooting it, is the tension screw right here is directed at an angle to put pressure on this plate that moves back and forth. And so as that thing is tightened down, it's going to give it enough pressure. So it's a pretty ingenious system, and I watched one of the videos about it, and you know, it really makes this an effective, easy to remove compensator. And then we can take our barrel, pull it right off. Again, not threaded, it is fluted, and it's a very well done barrel. Of course, here's the slide, beautiful inside. The black nitride finish really looks nice. It doesn't have a sheen as much on the slide itself, but here you can see the black nitriding coming through. It's almost like a little bit of a matte finish to it. Then we have our standard polymer frame striker fire Glock style pistol, and really this is pretty much a Glock clone. Again, parts compatibility between your Glock and your Shadow systems. So very simple, easy to disassemble. For reassembly, just throw in your barrel. Leave it out so you can get on your comp. And really, just make sure you've got it lined up in the correct orientation, and then just push this and lock it back down. I mean, how simple is that? Next, we take our recoil spring and guide rod. Go ahead and lock it into place, and then put it, slide over your frame. Test for function, and we're back in business. And guys, a cleaning kit recommendation would be Otis Technology. They've been making cleaning kits for decades. And they are the official supplier for the U.S. military for their cleaning supplies. Also, their little tactical kit, which this is a cleaning kit that wraps up. You do have bore snakes or rip cords in here, and this is something the U.S. military carries in the field. So great little kits. Also, they own Shooter's Choice, and they have all the different bore solvents and CLP. So a great way to keep your firearms maintained, and we really appreciate Otis for being one of our channel sponsors. Well, it comes in a cardboard box, Shadow Systems on it, and inside is a really nice padded gun case. I love this much more than gun boxes. Inside you'll find that we have straps for your magazines. You do get two 15-round magazines. You do get accessories for mounting a red dot, your lock, and of course instructions. And here in the top or the other side, there's a section for your handgun, and it is padded, and it's really nice material. So love gun cases much more than your gun box, because I'll definitely use them. All right, we're going to talk about price and pros and cons. MSRP, or retail price, on the CR920XP, $1,046. Now that's considerably more than a Glock, but their foundational series standard CRX920 start out at about $705 manufacturer suggested retail, which is a big upgrade over your Glock G43X. So you're getting slide cuts, you're getting optics plates, you're getting night sights, you know, you got slide serrations that are really upgraded texturing. Trigger to me is a little bit of a con because it's not much different of any different than your standard Glock pistol, of course, but it will take aftermarket parts. That is a plus. I mean, Glock has a ton of different things you can do and upgrades. A big plus too is the compensator. This really is effective, and it just gives it a little length on the barrel to that G48 size. So the compensator's huge plus. But again, with the cuts on the top, the multi-footprint optic system, that's going to be really a big plus as well. The very nice aggressive texturing and the magazines being 15+1. And again, you can buy them on Shadow Systems for less than $30, $29.99. So that's a really good price, and these are upgrades over a lot of your standard magazines. Nice beveling here in the mag well, which I didn't cover. Of course, Gen 5, and that's another big thing with a lot of these clones that are coming out. They're Gen 3, maybe some Gen 4, but this goes all the way to the top, and yet you're getting a lot of upgrades. And the one con, though, that I did have originally starting out, we did have about 3 stovepipes, or just the recoil spring just needed to be worked out some. Again, once we started firing off some self-defense ammunition, then we could shoot standard Fiocchi ball ammunition and it was fine. So you may have a little bit of a break-in period, but again, you need to take care of that no matter what, and have that break-in period, especially if you're carrying it for concealed carry and self-defense. So guys, if you like the Glock design, but you want to put all those upgrades in it, it can get very expensive. And with the Shadow Systems, you're getting that and more right out of the box. 15+1, again, Glock 48 size, or the Glock 19 silhouette. And it makes it that just excellent concealed carry option where you feel like you're shooting a full-size gun, but it's thin enough to carry every day, and it just cuts down on printing. Then add the compensated version of the P, and this really is super soft shooting. Really been impressed with Shadow Systems. I think they're putting out some excellent handguns. And being a Glock fan, I love it. If you don't like Glocks, this really takes that design to another level. And a big thank you to Shadow Systems for sending the CR920XP for this review. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. One of the things about the Shadow, the Glock, what is it? What is a Glock? A Glock is a Glock. It's a Glock. Big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammo. Okay. Big thanks to folks. Okay. Always double up. Double up, baby. Double up.
Okay, well, you're welcome.
With the porting, especially of this CR